Now, and you in your column also tackled the words that are my nemesis, awesome and cool. Not my nemesis, I just don't appreciate them and don't use them as much. Those two are words that a lot of people use. You mentioned in your column?
I meant awesome, yes. I had at least 3 people within the first 3 or 4 days writing about the word awesome. And I finally did a column on awesome and a couple of the others, cool maybe. And I wrote that there are awesome things, and would you like to know what I think?
Yes, I'd like to know what awesome things there are.
The Medici chapels in Florence. You walk in and you're overcome. It's hard to speak. That's awesome. The Sistine Chapel. It's overwhelming. A little pink baby that grabs hold of your finger and holds on and smiles at you. It fills up your heart. That's awesome. But as I said before, a cheeseburger can be mighty good, but hardly awesome. Okay? So that evokes some more answers too, and some more unfavorite words of people.
What other words do you feel are overused?
Well, I can tell you what people have written in about in particular. As a matter of fact, we have some columns here, I think, that we can even use and let people know.
Anxious and eager.
Very definitely, and that made a few people happy. You're not really anxious as much as you are eager, I mean, many times. But I'm anxious to get my report card if you think it's going to be bad. Yeah. But if you think you've done A and B work, how about being eager to get your report card?
Because anxious comes from the word anxiety.
Absolutely.
And somehow it's become a synonym for eager.
But it really, truly isn't.
Went missing. I remember reading that in your column. Now look at this. Look at this reaction. I love this. Go ahead.
My son suggested that. Why all of a sudden did someone have to say he went missing? It sounds a little like collusion. He didn't plan to go missing. Why went? And you hear this continuously, constantly, incidentally. I also haven't written about. Constant is 1, 2, 3, 4. Continuous is smoothly going along. So
the word constantly should have been used instead of continuously?
No, I think continuously probably was worked very well.
I'm going to have to dwell on that.
I'm looking here to see what some of the words were. Someone who objected to the word impact.
Oh, yes.
The impact being used as a verb, but I looked it up in the dictionary and it is there.
I was thinking of the word impactful. I heard it on a radio program yesterday. That was impactful. It was. I don't believe impactful is a word.
I've never heard it before.
No, and the person in it was an author of a book, and she was talking about how impactful her book was. And
well, why
other things come to my mind that I probably don't want to share at this moment with the word impactful. You know. So anyway,
just plain impact would be enough.
Yes. Yes. I agree. Now, let's talk about the word unique.
Oh, it's just plain unique. It's not very unique. You can't be a little bit unique, like you can't be a little bit pregnant. If it's unique, it's unique. If it's a fact, it's a fact. It's not a true fact. A fact is true. There are certain words that need no help at all.
And uni means one. So it's a one of a kind. It can't be a very one.
Right, because that's it.
Yes. This point in time.
Oh, this was so popular maybe 15 years
Nixon
ago. Was it during the Nixon bit? No, all right. At this point in time, why not just plain say, now? So easy.
Why do you think people use more words than they need to?
Sometimes I think because they're at a loss and are using it to cover up until they get to where they want to go. Sometimes I think because they feel it's more poetic, lovelier. I have no idea. Maybe it's to cover up, possibly not. At this point of time does sound very literary, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. What about the words continue on?
I don't understand why one has to continue on. One continues, gonna go on. So let's forget the on and just plain continue. These are just unnecessary. They're redundancies, actually. You have some good redundancies.
I have a problem with switched up, changed up, changed out, when just switched and changed would do well. Yes, I do have some. I have so many books here. We were looking at these books. In fact, I had shown you the book that had all the SAT words in it as a novel. And here's some redundancies in this book. This was given to me by John Dickmeyer, and worn out words and phrases. And he gave it to me, and I teared up because these are the gifts to give me as something on books. Anyway, so dim-witted redundancies, and it said reckless writers, they don't mince words here. They just tell it as it is. And slipshod speakers use many words where few will do. Advanced planning.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I hadn't thought of that before, ever.
And we probably have
But
both
of course
said
you
it.
plan for advanced.
So it's a redundant word. We don't need to use
True.
one. We could use. All right. Consensus of opinion.
That one hears frequently. Because I think people don't know that consensus is of opinion.
And con means with, and so it's with. It's like a concerted effort. If I'm not making a concerted effort to read this book, but you and I could be making a concerted effort.
True.
And I didn't realize that till about 3 or 4 years ago, because I just thought it was a word you put in front of effort. I didn't know it meant 2 or more people working on something
in concert. Right.
Yes, very good. We are so much alike. Free gift. There's another redundancy. Free gift.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, we have a free gift for you. What kind of a gift is it that you charge for?
Yes. Ever since I've heard that, I've thought, why do people say free? I've noticed that over and over again. The reason, and you and I talked about this beforehand, the reason why is because. I bet you got that a lot from your students.
I've had that from a couple of people writing it in. As a matter of fact, I think my next column is going to have that in it because a couple of people did suggest it.
And instead of the reason why is because, what's a better way to say? Just
Because.
Because, exactly. I had that so many times in my research paper, and I love putting the little delete signs, especially when I'm going to tell you a story about this woman who, such and such. I would take this all out and just say,
Tell me.
woman, such and such. Okay, and let's see. This is the writers of this book. It says, yet for all the words, their expression is but impoverished. More words do not necessarily signify more meaning. Isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
More words don't necessarily signify more meaning.
Yes, that's very good.
In fact, I think it takes the meaning away so often. Energize.
But I'm trying to think. I think that people use it, use more because it makes them comfortable, makes them feel as though they're really making a contribution, which is fine,
Yes.
except they can do it in other ways.
You were talking to me about a book that you would like the viewers to get, cultural literacy.
It's marvelous. We were talking about E.L. Hirsch's book on literacy. Because it tells you so much about language and how necessary it is for people to broaden their knowledge of language. Would you like me to tell the story about
Yes, please.
showing the difference in backgrounds and what one can expect from young children? who are sitting in a room, some from backgrounds where they've been read to, some who've had a lot of access to television possibly and books, some who have had very few advantages. And someone comes in to read a story about a little old lady who lives in an apartment. And it's a very dull apartment, all grays and blacks and whites. But over in that corner is a touch of wonderful color. She has a canary, and that puts beauty in her life. Now, Dr. Hirsch, in his book, Cultural Literacy, asks, how many of those children do you think know what a canary is? Some will know. It's a lovely yellow bird people keep in cages. Some had never heard the word before, so this is meaningless. Now, can you teach these children on the same level, or are you going to have to help these children get the vocabulary so they understand the beauty of the written word? Well, it's up to our job as educators to help fill in those gaps and expose the children who haven't had it. And that goes all the way through high school as far as I'm concerned.
I know that when I was teaching my sophomores and with my own daughters, I would say something and I would say, do you know that word? And they would either say yes or no, and then I would explain the word. Because it's been proven that if somebody doesn't understand the word, they stop listening.
And they lose everything, from there on out, because they're stuck. So we have to fill in the gaps.
I want to end with something that I read from one of your columns, and it was on literature. And it was how you ended your column, but it shows the essence of how you feel about the written word. You'll recognize this when I start reading it. With the world filling up so much with technology and the cry that we must keep our eminent place in the world by teaching more science, 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 I want to say, please remember how blessed we are with beauty in the written word, and let us encourage reading poetry and writing it too. And I'm not just saying this for children.
And that is my credo. I believe we have to have beauty. And there's only so much time that you give to your career, but there's so much time you live with yourself alone. And to fill it in with the beauty of the written word, whether it's yours or someone else's, that's good.
What impact do you think you've had on the lives of people with your passion?
Oh, I hope they have been affected. I hope that they can tell propaganda when they see it, when they see a story that's written and talks about the mob, or in the other paper that calls it a crowd, to decide, are they being propagandized?
Are they putting their opinion in instead of facts?
That's right.
Yes.
Let us get the facts and make up our own minds about this. Are they taking time to read Browning, Longfellow, Tennyson, some of the goodies, oldies but goodies? I think, well, I've had so many come up to me and say, guess what? I have never ever written a lot as one word, so I know I got through to them.
Yes. Yes, that's, and one other thing that I know that bothers me is when somebody said, she said like, hello, and then I said like, and instead of the word said, and we talked about that too. We could go on and on.
Yes, we could.
This was fun, wasn't it?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome, and I look forward to just seeing what you're going to be doing down the road and your next article. You are a woman I admire so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay. And thank you for watching The Verbal Edge. I'm Elizabeth Nolf MacDonald, Communication Coach. If you have any suggestions about a guest or topics, please email me at elizabeth@theverbaledge.com. Have a nice evening.